Present.
Steve Swords,
Present.
Rick McKinney,
Present.
Amy Mossalamani,
Present.
Jeff Hearn.
Here.
Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance by Council Paul Ayers. So if you'll all rise, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Bow your head. We'll have a moment of prayer. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks and praise for the privilege of serving you here in our county. I thank you and praise you for the gift of the people serving here on our council and all those here in our audience. We ask you to hold in your heart and in their hearts a special prayer for Mayor Cook and his wife Barbara and the loss of their grandson Zachary in the last few days. And we ask you to continue to bless and protect all those that serve and protect us as our first responders and those who serve and protect us overseas. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time, if everyone's had a moment to read, I would accept a motion for the minutes of our regular session on June 6th.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. We did not have an executive session, so we will move on to item 5 on our agenda, which is public comments. Is there anyone from the public that would like to stand up and speak?
My name is Sherry Orr. I'm the Executive Director of Prime Life Enrichment. Is this the appropriate time to give my 2 minutes?
Sure, that'd be great. Go right ahead. Thank you.
I have packets I want to just give each of you.
Okay, thank you.
Left. Oh.
So again, my name is Sherry Orr, and I'm the Executive Director of Prime Life Enrichment. I believe several not-for-profits have just been coming to explain who we are, so that's my purpose today. I want to also thank you for your past support. Prime Life serves those who are 50 and older in Hamilton County. Some are very active and independent, involved in the community. Others are managing issues at the end of life, so working towards closing with their families and their community. Our clients come to us for a whole array of services. We do wellness services, health, fitness, socialization, transportation, in-home services, support groups, case management, and more. Your support makes this possible. Whether we are giving them a helping hand by providing the space and qualified instructors that help maximize their returns on their exercise efforts, or by just simply giving them some case management through our social worker, your dollars are needed. A recent survey of older adults in Hamilton County by SACOA of those 60 and older showed that the Hamilton County seniors are contributing $982 million to this economy. These people are those who have built our community, as well as those who are migrating. A very common story that we have amongst new clients are that they're here to help their grandkids and their children. So their children live here and they're bringing their parents from all around the world, actually. We have quite a diverse membership and clientele. So we are asking for your support again this year of $240,000. Recently, we have had some cutbacks in our steady sources of income and or funding, I should say, grant funding through corporations. And we had an article appear in the newspaper today, the Hamilton County Reporter. In the packets I gave you, I'm including my response to that article. Though the headline was catchy, Prime Life halts transportation. It's not accurate. So I want to make it clear with you that we're only cutting back services that we felt were not absolutely vital. Trips to the hairdresser, trips to grocery store, trips to the bank. Those we were able to give alternative transportation suggestions to those clients. It affected 6 to 7% of our clients and only eliminates about 25% of the rides that we've been doing in the last 6 months. So again, we did trim it back, but it's not as severe as that article might indicate. I do hope that the reporter will actually print our article. In 1990, a single unit of service cost $12.18. Last fiscal year, a single unit of service only cost us $6.61. I want to note that's because we're serving more seniors. We're serving them more efficiently by utilizing volunteers. So again, your dollars are needed. We really appreciate your past support and hopefully future support. And I invite all of you to come see our seniors in action. Come to our center. I'd be happy to give you a tour. Thank you.
Any questions? I would like to say that I like your catchphrase here. It says, "Not-for-profits that don't change, don't survive."
Yes, absolutely.
Very catchy. I like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry,
Yes,
Steve.
go right ahead.
I have a question for you. And I'm not sure if it was in your response, or if it was in the article today.
Yes.
Prime Life's been around 40 years.
That's correct, 41 years.
And I hope this is a little humorous, but
Please.
the tagline says enjoyment and independence for age 50 and beyond.
Yes.
With the way we live today,
Yes.
have you thought about changing that to maybe 65 and beyond?
I will tell you in your packet, I gave you last year's annual report, and it gives you a client demographic, okay? Primarily, we're serving 65 to 85. That's the majority of our clients that are utilizing our services. We have brought it down to 50 in order to help those individuals who have had a lifelong challenge with illness. Actually, I will take it a step further. We've allowed now 20-year-olds to come work out with us, and our youngest member is 26. He started 2 years ago. He was referred to us through St. Vincent's Bariatric Services. He's lost 83 pounds. He came with his mom, who works out there, because he felt less criticized working out at our facility than he does at the general gym. So for those who can take advantage of a special niche that we can provide, we've also had 45-year-olds who have had knee replacements, who absolutely love the tempo of our pool classes. And so we're take it down a little bit of a notch than perhaps your typical gym. So we will certainly welcome those that we can serve, but we're not expecting to attract 20-year-olds. We don't serve a lot of 50-year-olds. And actually in that county, we have a county survey that Socoa did. Most of those who are 45 and older are saying they're going to continue working through after retirement. And the expected retirement age is 68 years old. So we don't serve a whole lot on the younger spectrum,
Thank you.
but we certainly want to welcome them.
I think he just really wanted to see if he could attend.
Yeah, that's why I was picking up.
We welcome you, absolutely.
We might have to add some transportation. Thank you. You did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so I'm Susan Ferguson. I'm the executive director at Prevail. So Nancy, I'm sure you know, you've had some others come. So Nancy Chance had asked us to come and do these presentations. So that's why Sherry and I are here tonight. So so thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for your ongoing support of Prevail. I know several of you have actually come in and toured Prevail and know what we do and are very familiar with our services. So I won't start from the beginning and give you the whole spiel, but I would like to welcome any of you. We have done some recent updates as well, so even those who have been before, you are always welcome to come come in and tour and see what we do at Prevail, and that's really the best way to kind of see what we do. But I did want to let you know, so you know that we offer crisis intervention and restorative support services for victims of crime and abuse in the county, and that includes children, teens, and adults, men and women. Like many county services, not a whole lot of people, or not everyone, knows about us. And not everyone has a need for the services that we provide, but overall we provide a better experience in Hamilton County because we exist. Some ways that we are a good investment for Hamilton County involve partnering with local law enforcement agencies. We're working on the lethality assessment program. So local law enforcement actually do screenings on the scene of domestic violence incidents. They go through a screening to see those that screen in at a high risk of lethality, and then they connect those victims with Prevail right there on the scene by phone so that we can safety plan with them, plan for the next 24 hours, make sure that they are safe. We also partner with law enforcement in lots of other ways, but that's one very concrete one. We also continue to assist people with getting protective orders here in Hamilton County, that we're the primary referral source for that. And then also we had several advocates even here in this building today helping with court support and court accompaniment for those victims of crime who are going through a criminal trial. So Hamilton County has been very supportive of Prevail services, and we appreciate that very much, and we do look forward to your continued support and would love to answer any questions that you have about Prevail and what we do.
The shelter or housing that was just put in Home Place, what's that? Can you tell me how that helps you guys out? Because I knew you were there, you know, at the ribbon cutting and that type of thing. How's that help you guys?
Yeah, great question. So that's the first time that any domestic violence specific housing has been in place in Hamilton County. Really, it's a partnership on 2 3-bedroom homes, and that is permanent housing. It is not a shelter. So that's long-term housing for people who apply and are selected to go into those homes. But they are through referral from Prevail. So that's specifically for victims of domestic violence who have had to leave their homes because of what's happened to them. And so that's a more affordable housing situation for them.
All of those are through you guys, and those.
So
that
it's actually
houses.
That all of those houses, all of those units, there's 10 units altogether. All of it is HANDS projects, so the Hamilton Area Neighborhood Development. All 10 of them are theirs. We are just partnering with them to provide referrals for the 2 houses that are 3-bedroom homes. All the others are senior housing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Susan? Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any other public comments? Seeing none, we'll move forward. Committee and officer reports. We'll start with myself, the president. Just a couple things I'd like to bring you up to speed on. I visited the jail recently, and the steel's going up. They are moving a lot of dirt there, and things are moving forward. Very nice job so far. The other is I also visited the morgue on a temporary basis. And it's supposed to be done in 2 weeks, although I don't think they're going to make that date, although it should be done within probably the first or second week of August. The other is, on a fun note, visited Kotewi Park this last week. I encourage anybody that has not been there. They have a great horseback riding facility. Took my granddaughter there. That place is out of the park, if you would. So I highly encourage you all to go up there and visit. Vice President is not here this evening. Highway.
We did not meet.
Finance.
Did not meet.
Personnel. And is there anything miscellaneous we need to discuss?
I'm going to piggyback on what you said. I did a number of those visits over the past few weeks. Visited the coroner, saw the morgue getting built over there, and he took me down to the current one, let me smell some formaldehyde. That was kind of creepy. But one thing, though, on the sheriff, I rode with the sheriff, and I know Home Place, we got some deputies out there patrolling, and people talked about cutbacks. But one thing I didn't know is how big an area that our sheriff deputies cover. So I think that any discussions about reduction in staffing for the sheriff department after Carmel starts covering that, we need to take into consideration that they're covering a very big area. I actually was with Dennis, our future sheriff, and it did take a little while. You know, there was actually a 911 call when I was in there with him, and it took a while to get there. So, I mean, I think that coverage needs to be considered before we do any reduction in our deputies. That's just my opinion going forward. So, thank you.
Anyone else under miscellaneous?
I do. Just wanted to mention that coming up is one of my favorite times of the year. It's the County 4-H Fair coming up July 19th through the 23rd, and it's 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. And it is free. A lot of people don't realize that. It's free. Thursday night, the first night, is a family movie, Disney movie. And then you have Friday and Saturday night are 2 concerts. So, and they're both free also. So it's a lot of fun. And actually this year, because I went to the Dairy Barn on the hour, every day last year, because it's so good, nice and fresh. They have made me an ice cream judge this year. So I am judging ice cream Saturday night, but just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of it. It's a very, very fun time and a great time to go and see all the different projects. And it's just not about animals and crops and things like that. There's a lot of electrical projects. There's engineering projects. There's recycling type projects. There's woodworking projects that are just phenomenal. So certainly walk through all the buildings, just not out, at the food vendors, which are really cheap and really, really good. But take it all in.
Thank you.
Steve.
Yes, go ahead, Council.
We had a public stakeholders meeting on State Road 37 in June, and one of the items is that there is a significant cost overrun right now, projected to be close to 25 million. No dirt's been turned, and the caveat or the footnote given was, not to take this too literally, because they're looking to get some exceptions for some of the drainage, and also the bids have not been put out yet, so it's again just projections, but just everybody stay alert that there could be a request for extra funding, but they're looking to get the bids out later this year and start the drainage project.
I asked for accounting on that, by the way. I sent an email to Troy Woodruff asking for just an accounting, because I had 2 state senators that came to me personally and said that I needed to get that. I didn't get it, and currently our attorney's kind of working on getting that, just to take a look at it and understand where the money's getting spent before we allocate our end of it. I don't know, probably in October, whenever they come to us. So just to let you guys know, I did ask for that information. I will share it with council when I put it together. So
Rick, is the finance going to try to, before like October, before it comes, figure out different options of how we can fund this? I mean, I know we don't have a whole lot sitting in the barrel.
Well, we had the extra money that came in, that special distribution from COIT.
Do you think that would cover it from what
I don't
you're
think
hearing?
it would cover 100%, but
okay.
We've got that, as well as always the fallback if we wanted to bond for it. But yeah.
Okay. Anyone else under miscellaneous? Seeing none, we're going to move on to item 7 on your agenda, and it's unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business we need to address? Seeing none, move on to item 8. It's tabled business. I don't think there's... Moving on to item 9, it's new business, the approval of vendor claims.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. And this evening we have Mr. Bob Benson. He is from the Indiana Farm Bureau. Would you like to come forward? Good evening.
Members of County Council, I want to correct something. I'm with Hamilton County Farm Bureau. Eventually, I guess that gets to Indiana Farm Bureau, but it's a pleasure for me to be here this evening, talk to you about some of the highlights of our past year, and kind of remind you of the fact that our mission is still an advocacy for agriculture, and part of that advocacy has to do with supporting the Purdue Cooperative Extension Service, 4-H, through their auction and that sort of thing. And I appreciate, Councilman Kern, that we do have a couple of places left on our work sheet for work assignments for the milkshake booth. So if any of you are available, why, please stop by, and I think we can probably put you to work, and appreciate being able to do that.
Does that mean I can take one for me, one for me, one for them, one for me, one for them?
You can work that out.
Yeah.
Also, saltwater conservation is one of our, we support Hamilton County FFA chapters, Young Farmer Program, Ag in the Classroom, Ag Day. And also, we've been working, one of our board members has been working with Sheridan with regards to the food desert over there. So those are some of the local things that we are doing to stay in touch with agriculture. In your packet, you should have received 3 different things. One has to do with Hamilton County agriculture. It's kind of a statistical type of thing. It is 2 years old, I will tell you that. We're waiting till the new census comes out. When it's printed, we'll update that, so you'll have an updated copy of that. And hopefully by next year this time you will have that. Secondly, in your packet is a one-sheeter that talks about highlights of our policy-making program and the survey that we took with our membership. And then thirdly, there's a whole list of the board members of Hamilton County Farm Bureau. As we look at the survey that we took, that we sent out to members, it wasn't one of those things that we were asking questions. You tell us what you want us to do. And as you know, broadband is one of the big things that's going around these days. And so as a background, we asked the question, what is your current broadband speed in megabytes per second? And you can see in front of you that 22% of the respondents had 0 to 3 megabytes. But also you can go to the other end and 32% were over 26%. And you can say, what part of the county was that in? I can't tell you that because I think it was spread all over the place. But you can see there is a broad percentage of people that have in their broadband experience. The second question we wanted to ask was, what type of internet service do you have? 42% of them, respondents had cable. And this information we will use as we go along, develop policy along the way. Then we got down to our policy meeting back in June, and I'm going to relate to you policies that affect Hamilton County. There are some that will go on to the state, and possibly, hopefully, it will go on to the national, but I'm going to hit 3 highlights today. One of the things I think we talked about last year is the bridges that we have in Hamilton County. We're encouraging you to take a look at those bridges and get the debris, take the silt that's under it, kind of get it on a pattern where we can take a look at those and make sure they're cleaned out, because it becomes a safety issue. If we don't clean them out, then it becomes a structural issue, and in the long run, it's going to save money, I think, along the way. And that we encourage you to take a look at that. Secondly, we had 99%, 97% of our respondents said they wanted to encourage more ag in the classroom, ag curriculum in the high school or in schools. I don't know why we didn't have 100%, but we think that's a big, overwhelming thing, that we're going to be encouraging more ag-related classes throughout the schools. And thirdly, our members said, hey, you know, I own ground in X county, and I own ground in the county right beside of it. But I live in one of those counties, and I can only vote on capital improvements projects in the county that I live. I'm paying taxes in both counties. How do I influence, can I vote in both counties if there's a capital referendum in each county? You're going to say, boy, that's probably not legal. But again, on the other hand, I think it's something we have to stop to think about because of the taxes that are on the real estate in those counties. I'm willing to answer any questions. I do have Dwayne Rinker with me and also John South. They are my support. As I told the county commissioners earlier this week, they will answer any questions, but I'll throw it open for questions from you, okay?
I love this part of you guys coming here and giving out this information. I was telling President Swartz that. I keep this and tell people that Hamilton County is 52% farmland, and when I say that to them, before I show them that, no way, nobody believes it. And then you show them here's the numbers right here. We're still 52% farmland. So it's very interesting information you put out here. So thanks for doing that.
I've got a question on the bridges. Is your membership, have you come up with like a top 5, top 10 that should really be focused on?
No, we have not. We think that probably there ought to be an inspection made. And as you make that inspection, you say, okay, there's 5 or 6 bridges that have a lot of silt underneath, has a lot of debris. Those ought to be top priorities. And I think it ought to be a year. I think our people would say it's a yearly inspection, and then categorize them and prioritize where I spend my money to do it.
And then the other question I have is on the school curriculum. I really like that. And one of the things, I live in the southeast part of the county, and HSE, and they have a FFA, and they have some great programs down there. And that's one of the things I love is because you go up, you have the 3 different townships. You know, one is extremely rural, the other 2 are pretty well developed now. But it exposes my kids to all those different things. But if you're looking at HSE, Carmel, you know, those schools don't necessarily get what maybe, for sure, Hamilton Heights, you know, but maybe even a Noblesville and Westfield, you know, of a flavor. Do you have pretty good buy-in through those school systems, Carmel and HSE, to bring in some of this type of curriculum?
I think we're at the beginning stages of getting them to buy in. I think Ag in the Classroom has been an excellent start that Extension people have put together and support, because if you get the second graders exposed, then I think it's going to kind of move on up through the line. And it's also interesting that, you know, Westfield, Noblesville, both of those schools had excellent ag programs a few years back, and now
just a general question. Has the EPA loosened their requirements on what's actually considered waterways and wetlands? Like, in other words, like I know the Farm Bureau's...
Waters of the U.S.?
Yes.
That is still up in the air. They have a moratorium, and we still haven't come up with a definition. It's still on the docket in Congress, but nothing has moved on that.
Thank you.
Further questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your presentation. Very nice. Okay, moving on. The Hamilton East Public Library appointment. I think all of you have got a copy of that in front of you. John Deerdorf is set to expire August 26, 2018.
I'd move that we reappoint. I'm sorry.
Second your motion.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you. So Robin Ward, there's a PTA, BOA, PTABOA appointment, and recommending William Sanders, Jr.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Next item is there's a resolution, the Hamilton County Council approving the Hamilton North Public Library issuance of bonds. Aaron Culp is here this evening. If there are any questions, Aaron is the attorney representing the Hamilton North Public Library. Hi, Aaron.
Hello, Mr. Schwartz.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you. I don't want to take up too much of your time. As the council's aware, with a township library, we have to come before the council to seek your approval when we're doing a bond issue. This bond issue would not alter the tax rate at all in the township. As a matter of fact, one of the guiding principles the board adopted moving forward was ensuring that the bond would keep the tax rate the same as it is now. A little bit of history. This library was initially built in 1997, and it went through one bond issue at the time, and it did not bond again until last year. Last year's bond was to renovate both space in the current facility in Cicero as well as space in Atlanta. It was mainly replacing and repairing infrastructure like the HVAC, the roof, some of the retaining walls which had failed. This new bond is to go forward and expand the space. The population has grown since 1997. As a matter of fact, in Cicero, they've now broken ground on what is expected to be a 240-home subdivision just to the west of town there. And so the library is wanting to add new space, new technology, so that it can stay up with the demands of patrons and the demands of the times. And this bond issue would go towards that.
Any questions for Mr. Culp?
I've talked to Emily a little bit, who I know is on your board, on some of these things. But just at a high level, what kind of technology and what do they plan to do with a lot of those different spaces? Is it more of like sitting areas, tables for people to spread out?
They want more space for people to have kind of the ability to have a workstation. They want to have better Wi-Fi connectivity and more multimedia purposes, as well as community space where people can have presentations and those type of things.
Okay.
And Aaron, your paperwork said there would not be an increase in the tax levy for the people.
That's correct.
Further questions? Seeing no further questions, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
And seconded. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you,
very
Mr. Culp.
much.
Have a great evening.
You too.
Next item on the agenda, Mr. John Elliott. He is the president and CEO of Gleaners Food Bank of Indianapolis Incorporated. Good evening, Mr. Elliott.
How are you?
Good. Good to see you.
And I'm not only a Gleaners CEO covering 21 counties, but I'm a neighbor of this building, so I could easily walk here tonight, which is nice. So, in your packet, Dan and Dawn were nice enough to include a couple of things. There is more than one page of remarks, but a couple of those are just background. I won't cover them now because I want to quickly get to the main point, which is a new partnership with Ivy Tech and Goodwill and Gleaners. But also in your packet is a two-sided impact statement on who we are and what we get done. And then I thought particularly you'd want the one-page snapshot on Hamilton County and both the need and the impact of the programs there. So I may refer to those just a bit, but let me just give a quick summary of who we are and what we do. So we're part of the Feeding America National Network. We have 21 counties. On the map on the front side of that county one-pager, because of the makeup of those counties, we have about a third of the 15% or 1 million Hoosiers who are hungry within our area of responsibility. So about a third of a million in those 21 counties. So Councilman Glenn, you were intrigued by a data point earlier, so I'll give you a new one actually. Within those 21 counties, the second highest food insecure population is Hamilton County, after Marion, predictably. So people are surprised to learn that. It's an unfortunate reality. It's 5% of a large population versus 21% of the population in Marion County, but it's still a large number, and more than 50,000 hungry is more than 50,000 hungry. So we have 4 primary operations. One is the traditional food bank, and I'll come back to that. The second one is we're a natural disaster response location, one of 12 around the country for Feeding America. We're a FEMA depot and storage site as well as part of that. We are a produce co-op as of last May, one of 8 around the country, and we support 39 of the 200 food banks in the 7 Midwest states, providing fresh from farm produce that comes in semi-load quantities and then goes out in mixed loads. For the first time since last May now, that fresh produce is the equivalent of what's in the retail stores. It's part of that 40% of U.S. food production that's wasted every year that's now being recaptured and brought back into the hunger relief system. So we run that on behalf of our sister food banks. Most importantly, we're also one of those 39 customers, and that produce goes into the counties. And just get to frame the impact, 2 years ago, 3.5%, just short of 4% of the food we distributed, which is over 30 million pounds a year, or 25 million meals, less than 4% of that was produce. By the end of this fiscal year, 30% will be produce. And for the first time, we can really start talking about not just impacting hunger outcomes, but health outcomes simultaneously. So our new strategy really is to focus not just on feeding the line with the most nutritious food we can, but how do we partner with many other organizations to reduce the line? And if you think also about the population we serve, and not just a narrow hunger focus, but a broader collaborative focus, the best hunger relief solution out there is a paycheck that feeds the whole family for the whole month. So how do we partner with others and do that? Here in Noblesville as a pilot, the first location launched is that partnership with Ivy Tech and Goodwill and Gleaners. The primary population we're serving with that new pantry, our first distribution was last Friday, is the students and the families of those 2 institutions, which is frankly why I came here. You are well invested in, and in fact, the owners of that building that houses that new partnership operation. The hope is to expand it to wraparound services, working with multiple state agencies. Work one's already there. We're already in contact. Lieutenant Governor was in my office yesterday. We're talking about the Department of Ag and Rural Affairs and other things. We hope to add a health clinic modeling what we've learned with a pilot on Michigan Road with Eskenazi, and another one in our own building with St. Vincent Health. The idea being not hand a bag of food to a family and say, we solved all your problems with this bag of food, because we didn't really solve even hunger. But how do we partner and solve all their challenges so they get back on their feet and they're not only out of the food line, they're self-sufficient. So really appreciate the opportunity that you're bringing that building to the right place at the right time, gives us and other partners. We did a soft launch last Friday. We'll operate for a couple of months. We'll fine tune, we'll adjust, we'll get it right. We'll bring in other partners and services. And then we would welcome your participation or attendance. In fact, on behalf of Sue Elsperman, who will be there, and Kent Kramer from Goodwill, on September 13th, which is Hunger Action Day. The time is not locked in. We're deferring to Dr. Elsperman's schedule, frankly. But we will, Dan, I think we'll let commissioners and council know when we let him know on time of day. So would love to have you there for what will be the formal opening. But by that point, we hope to have some information to share in terms of impact, especially on those student populations. As you may know from Ivy Tech already, the two biggest barriers to graduation for their students are hunger and childcare. So through the Gleaners Partnership, we hope that we'll solve the hunger part, more will graduate, more will be employed, and so on. I can answer questions as well.
How often, how much do you have the trustees involved with what you're doing?
So there have been individual outreach conversations with trustees, not really independent, not necessarily connected to the pantry, as a normal course of our business. And in all 21 counties, the mix of local partners varies. We have 600 different food distribution points. Some are through mobile pantry vehicles. And in fact, somebody mentioned Nancy Chance earlier. She helps provide volunteers in Hamilton County for the Gleaners mobile vehicle distributions, brick and mortar pantries, so on. The funders vary too. In this county, unfortunately, we've not gotten a yes out of Noblesville trustee. We have out of Carmel's trustee. And as far as I know, unless my team's just not let me know, we've not asked other trustees in the county, but we'll get around to it.
They have a monthly lunch. One of the things that I would recommend is that you get on their schedule so that you can come in and talk to them. Yes, they have a monthly lunch, usually the second Wednesday of every month. Any of the trustees can put you on that. I was a trustee for 6 years before coming on here, over in Fall Creek Township, and we tripled the size of our pantry in 3 years, and we were able to do it without any cost, just getting out and talking to the schools, for example. And a lot of people don't know, we have schools that over 20% of the kids get not only free lunch, but they get free breakfast. And it becomes a real concern this time of year in the summer because schools aren't there to do that. So a lot of people are shocked, well, everybody for example, in that southeast Fall Creek Township where I was trustee, average home's $280,000. Oh, you guys have no problems here. Well, when somebody loses a job, and we have a lot of people that are dual income, and they move here because of the schools, and they want the best for their kids. One of them, to no fault of their own, loses their job. Company shuts down, sizes down, whatever it might be. Now they're struggling to just make a car payment, maybe make a house payment. They don't have as much money for food. And when somebody's hungry, they're hungry. And that's one thing a lot of the trustees do is we don't say, well, you got to prove that you live here in order to get the food. When they come in, we give them everything that we can. And I would just say this, obviously, with your food bank, one of the big misnomers is people say immediately, or say, well, I'll donate some cans. Well, you probably have a ton of cans. We had a ton of cans. You're looking at diapers, peanut butter, paper plates, cleaning supplies. There's a number of different things that people don't even think about needing in a food pantry. Because when someone, think about anything in the grocery store or you're going to Target, they need, because that is what would go into a pantry, a shelf stable. So it's a situation, and people lose an $80,000, $100,000 a year job. Those just don't come up the next month. Sometimes
at what point can you recapture food that's been set out, like in cafeterias and things like that? Can that be recaptured, or is it just the laws requiring, the health department requires you to throw it away? How does that work? Because everywhere you go, there's now grocery stores, there's fresh fruit everywhere.
So I was a Kroger executive before this role, so food safety is stamped and tattooed all over me, I guess you would say. But so the Feeding America Network, which includes us, is very, very focused on the food safety piece. So there are times we would decline when others might accept. But in general, you want a clear chain of custody on the temperature control of that food. Now, some items are not, perishable food, so it would be different. But
does that happen a lot?
There are programs to recapture school lunch and breakfast foods and so on. There are actually programs to capture prepared meals. When I was at Kroger, we launched the start of a perishable program that's now nationwide with meat only and then other perishable foods. But there's some rules around that. The strictest ones in the deli, meat and seafood that can be frozen, is a little more flexible and so on. But yeah, there are structured programs. That one's been in place since 2007. The school lunch capture programs are more recent. Full meal, like catering pans that are not tapped into, go through second helpings and others. It's really a mix. And in fact, if you capture all of those efforts, that still amounts to 8% of the meals for the hungry in this state. We're 8%. 18% is all charitable programs. The 4 federal programs are still 82% of the meals in this state. School lunch that you referred to and breakfast is 19%. So our 31 million meals is less than half.
I can tell you from
scale is huge.
From the trustee side, there's a lot of churches that offer up funds up to the trustee to use. And what they do is they'll work through Kroger stores, for example, and the store manager knows, and they go over to the store they'll call the store manager and say, hey, we're sending you this person over. They have a voucher for $50. And they go over and they'll buy the fresh milk, the meat, and so forth, the produce, so that it is fresh, the stuff that as a trustee or as a food pantry you don't want to keep because of...
Yeah, my concern is all the food in America that is being... And obviously, you guys do a great job. I'm just saying all the food. You walk into a restaurant and there's food everywhere that's setting out. And in my opinion, I would guess it's going to get thrown away at some point.
Yeah, if it's been out and available, like in your restaurant scenario, that will continue to always be wasted.
I understand there's nothing you do about it. I'm just curious if that's really what
So we are much, as long as the scale of need is as large as it is, we're honestly not focused on that one meal in a restaurant. We're focused on, semi-load quantities. I mean, I saw a picture recently of, it was taken to the desert in Mexico, just across the border. It looked like hills, and it was truckload after truckload of abandoned tomatoes. And the ones that just hadn't been dumped, there were 56 semi-loads of tomatoes made available to us. Scale is huge. And so we've also, as long as there's a gap, which in Indiana is 170 million meals a year, that people are just missing. They're not eating. We've got to go after it in thousands and tens of thousands to reach as many families as we can. But something that Councilman Hearn said too, I guess I would draw to your attention because you support such a variety of things in this county. There often are trigger events, and I think you hit on one of them earlier, loss of employment, but also right up there at the top is physical health or mental health gets underreported sometimes too. And as a result, then a family is one broken appliance or one paycheck away from crisis. Sure. And transportation that you guys support through Janus and so on, that is critical. Many times it's getting people to the food, it's not that the food isn't there.
Councilman McKinney, go ahead.
Sorry. John, in your material, one thing, an acronym, TFAP, what is that?
So that's, our federal government is always so clever. It's the Emergency Food Assistance Program, TFAP.
And you said, you're going to take it over, which is great to help distribute the USDA emergency food. If Hamilton County was declared non-compliant, what does that mean? We wouldn't get those distributions?
So I'll try to simplify the process, but it's multi-step. So that is one of those block grant categories. It goes from federal government through USDA budget. Indiana Department of Agriculture and FSSA have a hand in those funds. And then they are, once a year, they come up with an allocation percent for all the 200 food banks in the country. So we get a % of the Indiana allocation each year. And we then take on the responsibility to distribute that food evenly according to that year's plan in all our 21 counties. And so does our sister food bank in Lafayette and so on. But if the counties, and they're reported on a regular basis, and we cross-check, if you fall out of compliance, it affects your allotment, it affects your ability to be a TFAP agency, and by our underperforming and our partners underperforming, we can actually have that food and funding withheld.
Okay, thank you.
So it's kind of unfair that people in this county would go hungry if we can't do it, but it also comes with burdens and a lot of reporting and rules and things that some pantries, frankly, just don't want to deal with. So by controlling that pantry ourselves at Ivy Tech, we can make sure that TFAP is in there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other further questions for Mr. Elliott? Mr. Elliott, thank you so much.
Okay,
I no doubt that you keep Gleaners on the cutting edge, and I want to thank you very much. And
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you, and have a very nice evening.
You too.
This time, I'd like to open the public hearing concerning additional appropriations. That would include, obviously, additional appropriations, 144 amendments, transfers, and reductions. And the first item is a clerk transfer. Does everybody see that?
Is there two? Yeah, two of these, yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve for discussion.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll move forward. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. The auditor has a 144 amendment. It's a job title change.
So moved.
Motion? Second? Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. There's a transfer for the court administration. It's $26,950.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Emergency management also has a transfer. It's $1,285.96.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. There is a planning transfer. It's $350.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. And the last item, there's a surveyor transfer, $5,000.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Moving on to item B, it's the health fund. They're requesting $71,300. And the amount available for additional appropriation is $1,392,462.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? None? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Major Bridge Fund is requesting $1,780,000. Available for additional appropriation is $8,362,823.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Item D, it's a non-reverting operating fund. They're requesting $50. The amount available for additional appropriation is $668,652. Is there a motion?
I make the motion for $50,000.
There you go. Okay.
I'm sorry, did I read that wrong?
$50
$50,000.
bucks, yeah.
Ah, okay.
So I made that motion.
Fred, did you second that motion?
Sure.
Okay. No discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
What happened there? Tax sale fee fund is requesting $33,577.
Motion for approval.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. And this is the auditor ineligible homestead fund. They're requesting $124,042.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on this one.
Controversial. I don't know about this.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Rob, I'm glad to see you have that point there. We've collected $124,000 in back taxes and interest. That's great.
Thank you.
You go, Robin.
Right.
Parks and Recreation, there's a 144 amendment. Is there a motion?
I would make a motion.
Second? Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this one? Saying none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is a Public Safety and Communications Amendment, 144 Amendment. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Up next is item I on your agenda. It's the Lease Rental Fund, and they're requesting $1.
We want to take the other one too.
We can do that as well if
Motion
you
to combine I and J.
like. Motion for I and J. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And there is a bond proceeds reduction.
So moved.
Seconded.
Discussion, questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to item L. It's the Youth Assistance Program, and they're requesting $16,794.
I'll make a
moved.
motion. Second.
You got your name on it, Amy, so
I would
fire
like to,
away.
Can you have your motion for be for all four?
Yes.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Item M, the Non-Reverting Communication Fund, they're requesting $149,991.
So moved.
Second.
Quick, yeah.
This is a grant, and this is the upfront money that we're required to pay, yet we will be reimbursed for this. That's a great question. Mr. Snowden is here, the expert. Good evening, Mr. Snowden.
Thank you. Not really the expert on this, more the water carrier. This is a Homeland Security grant that Scott Ligler, who works for the ISS department, but he's within our budget in our space, has put in for a grant for. On my paperwork here, I apologize. It is. Yes, this is situational awareness video equipment for terrorism events or other large-scale natural disasters. So what's happening is we're getting a grant, we've been given a grant to purchase video conferencing equipment, not only for the county, but also for the collaborative agencies that have helped us, the City of Carmel, Noblesville, Fishers, the Town of Cicero, and I believe the City of Westfield as well. And so this is a no-match grant for us to purchase video conferencing equipment to go in the emergency operations places as well as the county.
When's the reimbursement come in for this?
As soon as the grant is done, the paperwork will be sent back in, and so it should be imminently. He's waiting literally for this vote to get started on this.
So you need the vote here before the grant can be processed.
That is correct, sir.
Any further questions, discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Thank you, Mr. Snowden. Have a great evening.
Very much.
Okay, moving on. Item N on your agenda, it's the immunization grant. There's a 144 amendment. Is there a motion?
I'd move to approve.
Okay.
Zeroing out the one and then moving it to the new.
Okay.
Based on grants, okay.
So N and O, is there a motion for N and O?
Motion for N and O. That's fine.
Second. Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you. The UASI grant, there's a transfer for $672.31. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, thank you. Motion carries. Moving to the last item on this page is Q, Public Health Emergency Preparedness Grant. They're requesting $90,093.
So moved.
Second.
Another grant.
Another grant, like the grants.
Yeah.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, motion carries. The FHWA Reimbursement Fund requesting $91,595.
I will make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item S on your agenda. It's the video grant requesting $149,991.
And we did
Yeah,
earlier.
I'm sorry. It is a repeat?
No, it's just, you have to do it.
I see.
Right.
Appropriate the money when the money comes back in, then it gets
Okay.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. We are going to skip item T because that one is a repeat on our agenda. So we're going to move on to item U, which is the Community Corrections Grant. There is a 144 amendment, and this is a reduction.
I will make that motion for a reduction. So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Item V on your agenda is the Foreign Language Interpreter Grant. They're requesting $15,156.
Second.
Any discussion on this one? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carries. Okay.
Motion to combine W and X.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. The last item on your agenda is Johnson K-9 grant requesting $1,500.
I make the motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion.
Rick, real quick, just it's not a lot of money. I'm with you, but just give me. Is this for the K-9 for the sheriff department?
Right, yeah. It's a donation that a couple made, Roy and Ruby Johnson, through the Legacy Fund. And so this is the process to use that donation for the...
Cool. Okay.
Helps us track it.
Yep.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Madam Auditor, couldn't you have found one more item so we cover the entire alphabet? Stopping at Y.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to close the public hearing and have announcements. Sheriff.
I want to thank you for stopping out and checking out. July 17th, we have the solar panel switchover. Law enforcement participated.
Great. I was actually at that event, and they pack the cruiser. There's no extra room in it. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm sure other communities, I know Fishers did, and I'm sure there's other communities that do. It's a tremendous thing.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Council Attorney.
No announcement.
All right. Madam Auditor.
Yes, I have before you the memo, which we do every year for temporary interfund loans to cover shortfalls that will then be paid back at fall settlement.
Okay. And
Mr. President,
oh, go right ahead.
Two.
Do we need to
Council.
vote on that? Or-
Yes,
Oh, sorry.
please.
Yeah,
I do
so
need a motion
moved.
to approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. Council?
If the council would agree, I would like to, or I spoke with Jeff, he's willing to, if I could remove myself as the liaison for the fire chiefs and the communications group of 3 and have Jeff step in for the remainder of the year.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Great.
I want to say one more thing, Mr. President, before the end of the, did I interrupt?
No.
No, go right ahead, sir.
Guy. Just to quickly mention the Association of Indiana County meetings that we went to. I just want to just give a shout out to our auditor team. I know I did that behind closed doors, but I'd like to do it publicly. We're very lucky to have these guys going to all those meetings and doing all that stuff and basically keeping up to date on everything that's going on, state laws and all that. So I just want to.
I would echo that. Between the two of them, they've done a phenomenal job.
Yep.
I worry about long term. Whenever the two of them decide that they're going to pull their parachutes at the same time, what's going to happen with the county and the auditor position? But
Anything else for good of the order for this evening? Seeing none, at this point, we will be adjourned.
Thank you.